Welcome to Counsel and Community.
Welcome back to Counsel and Community, where legal insight meets real-life impact. My name is Kevin Rosenquist, here with the Nelson Law Group team to share practical guidance on navigating legal challenges while offering tips for personal growth and financial well-being. Brett, Sarah, so good to have you both here.
Hello.
Oh, thank you for having us.
So today we're going to talk about foster care and adoption, some of the legal steps and meaningful ways to support youth in need. Sarah, you were a foster parent and adopted from foster care. How does someone become a foster parent?
Yeah, I did both refugee and domestic foster care. So believe it or not, you can provide care for refugee children. There's a program for that. And then you can also provide care for children in your county, community, state, that sort of thing. The process in Texas that you go through is to find an agency. There are agencies out there that you can go to. They will give you some initial information. They will get you licensed and get your home licensed to take in the children. It's similar to getting licensed as a daycare. It's a similar process, but it's a little bit more invasive. It takes 4 to 6 months. The home study, they come in, they ask a lot of questions. They really do a very thorough investigation into making sure that your home is a safe place for children. And it does take some work on your end, but it's very rewarding and worth it.
Are there misconceptions you find out there for foster or adoptive parents or for prospective ones about what the process looks like, and maybe you have some insights on how they can be better prepared?
I think what are the misconceptions, Brett? Like, what are the things people all say about foster parents?
You're better able to answer that than I am, but I think I don't know.
Yeah. A lot of people say we're doing it for the money,
yeah.
Right?
Oh God, yes.
You're doing it for the money, and
another child, another check.
Yeah.
Mine just wasn't going there today. But that's very true. And
really, I didn't know that's something people thought.
And it's couldn't be less true. I mean, it is a lot of work to foster a child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there is reimbursement for this from the state, and I guess if you were stacking a lot of children in, that you could kind of, at the rates that they pay, even if you had the maximum amount of children, it would be difficult to do, but I guess someone could. I will say I did this. I've been in this world for 15 years now. I'm still in it as a CASA worker. And I've met one family that I thought maybe were financially motivated to foster, or that they're all evil, and there are. I mean, there's a need for foster homes. And so sometimes they license people that shouldn't be licensed. I had kids that were in my care that went to a home where they shouldn't have been licensed. It does happen. It's not a perfect system. It's very, very broken, but there are a lot of great, well-intentioned, good foster homes out there.
Are there a lot? I mean, I know we see it in the movies and we hear the stories and all that, but are there a decent amount of bad situations out there that you guys have run across?
I have not run across any, except for that one situation personally, myself, bad homes. Homes that are different, homes that are not, families are so different. So it can look different. And we were talking, about earlier in an earlier episode about blended families and how one house gets run one way. And so just because it's different doesn't mean it's bad. But I think that for the most part, the homes that I've been in, the people that I've personally known, those are good environments for children. They're places where I would leave my children. There's
love in the home.
Yeah.
May not, the financial circumstances aren't always ideal, but there's love there. And that's really what we're looking for from my perspective. And when I've dealt with it, it's always been on more of a temporary basis in my legal dealings. A lot goes for raising your hand to be willing to do it, because the children are typically had a rough go of it. I mean, they're emotionally unstable because of what's going on in their own home, and then to be displaced involuntarily and go live in a stranger's home, it's tough, and there's a lot of rejection.
We talk about, it's a temporary thing as a general rule. In what are the most common situations where someone would be looking for, where a child would need a foster home?
Gosh, in our county, most of our removals are due to neglect that are caused by drug use. I would say, the overwhelming majority, neglect or abuse caused by drug use. So that's what, my son that I adopted from foster care was born severely drug exposed. So he came to me at 2 months old, still withdrawing from opiates. So we see a lot of that, a lot of that. Yeah. Yeah.
It is a heavy topic. And then ideally, like the way it's supposed to work is the parent, the biological parent, gets their act together, right? They get clean, they get stable and all that stuff, and then they're able to reunite with their child on a full-time basis, right?
That is the goal. The goal when children are removed is always to return them to parents, and the court will give them a service plan that kind of has some things on it that they want them to work through and do before having their kids returned. And that timeline on that is usually about 12 months. There's a 6 month kind of where we look at it, and then a 12 month, and then sometimes that it gets extended to 18 months. The kids are in care, and a decision has to be made about what the permanency is going to be for the child. If it's going to be with their parents, being adopted by a relative, being adopted by a non-relative.
But what kind of things should prospective foster parents think about? Like, what are the kind of things as far as bringing in a new person into a home, especially if you have kids already, like what kind of stuff what kind of advice do you have?
I think that when you go through training with a good agency, and you'll do a lot of trauma training. Everything happens with these kids. They can be challenging. They can also be super awesome. And so
Sure.
be open to and prepared for everything. Having a community around you. As a foster parent, you can't use I can't let Brett like babysit unless he's a licensed respite provider. So you're not going to get a break the way you would even with your own biological
You
children.
can't just call the babysitter up the street.
You cannot. It
Yeah.
has to be a licensed child care person that's done some CPR training. It's not as extensive as the foster parent training, but it is a big commitment, and it is a lot. And it's going to take a lot of your emotional, spiritual resources. But it will also put those back in your bucket too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about when you already have kids? Is that something that I've always thought about? I have one 4-year-old, and we're not having any more kids, but he likes to ask me when he's going to get a brother or a sister to play with. Of course, it's kind of heartbreaking to hear. My wife and I have talked about foster or adoption over the years, but one of the things is like, it's always tough to bring in somebody new to the family dynamic, especially when you have young kids. What kind of advice do you have for people who already have kids and how to blend that properly?
That's a good question. My kids were a little trepidatious when we started talking about this, but it really felt like a calling for me, and so we came to an uneasy agreement about it. They were old enough for us to talk about what this might look like. My youngest was 8 at the time. But what we did was we brought in kids like birth order. So we brought in children that were younger than our children, and some people advise doing that. But then we moved away from that and brought in teenagers from around the world that were kind of in the same age group as my older kids. And that was really cool. And my kids now they're adults, 3 of them, they say that was really hard. And we were jealous. We missed some of the attention that we weren't getting. We missed some of that, but it was so worth it, and it made us better people.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, because I could definitely see. Obviously, you see that. They get someone new to play with. That's fun. But then when they start having to share things that they don't want to share, or obviously you're giving probably extra attention to the foster kid, at least at the beginning. I think everybody would do that naturally, trying to make sure they're acclimated and happy and comfortable and all that. And that could force a little jealousy on the biological kids for sure.
Yeah.
Brett, what does the legal process look like for adopting from foster care?
We don't do a lot with adopting from foster care because most of that is CPS driven, and that's a little bit outside our scope of our practice. But we do interventions, and when we have like the most common is grandparent or step parent intervening in a case to secure some type of either conservator or possession rights to a child that's not biologically or legally theirs. That's where we see it most. Standards extremely high in the context of both of those non-parent cases to upset a quote unquote fit parent. And so typically in an intervention case, the first step is proving that there is something wrong with one or both. If one biological parent is alive, proving that that parent's unfit. It's called the fit parent presumption in Texas. And so, that's where you have to start. Is there something wrong with this fit parent's constitutional right to make decisions with respect to its own children? And that's kind of difficult to wrestle with when the parent is making decisions that you don't believe to be in your grandchild or best interest. And so but you don't get to second guess a fit parent's decision. And basically the definition for fit parent is the parent able to adequately care for the child. Recently, I've had situations where I have a non-parent, a person that's had a significant, they're in loco parentis. They were like a parent. The mother died baby was 2 months old, and my client came in at 5 months and has been taking care of the child now for almost 7 years. And they're going through a divorce, and dad's trying to say stepmom can't have any role in that child's life. And you have to prove legal standing, and now we have to prove that dad is either unfit or that there's imminent risk of serious harm to the child. And the psychological harm to that child is something that requires expert testimony if you were going to sever that relationship. So in short, it's a very complex, rule-driven process with a great deal of deference to a biological parent.
Yeah, and that's what we see, as foster parents. When he talks about intervention as a foster parent, once you've had the child for a year, you can intervene in the case and ask the court to have standing. So you have a right to kind of say what you think should happen in the case. And it is a very expensive and some very emotionally painful process. I've been through it. That's how I got my youngest son. So, but it is something you can do as a foster parent. And it's definitely like on a case by case basis, something that you should weigh. But the standard for parenting, and this is something that I think a lot of people don't understand when they come in here, right? They talk about, oh, well, they're feeding the kid unhealthy lunches, and I'm like, you're going in front of the same judge who sees these CPS cases where children are being horribly mistreated, and those parents are still retaining some rights. So that standard, that presumption, on biological parents and their constitutional right to like have the child, is pretty high. And what fit parenting looks like, according to the court in the world of foster care and beyond, is pretty low, those standards.
With foster cases or with foster kids, I'd imagine they're not like the biological parent is allowed to spend some time with the kid throughout that year. How is that determined? And is it supervised? What are the rules there, or does it vary?
It varies, on the age of the child. For a newborn or a very young child, it might be more. Typically, those cases start out where there's a weekly visit, at a CPS office in a supervised location. As the parent continues working their service plan and they're doing really well, they might move that off-site. And then at some point in the case, if they're really progressing and things are really going well with that parent, they would get like some unsupervised weekends, and that would be towards the end of the case. But for most cases, you're looking at an hour a week with your child in a room with a two-way mirror in our county where somebody's looking at you from the other side and watching what you're doing.
Okay. If someone's listening who's maybe not ready to be a foster or adoptive parent, but really wants to support the community, are there other ways they can get involved?
Yeah, if you're part of a church and they don't have a foster ministry, start one, make that happen. That was hugely important to me in my journey as a foster parent, was having that ministry there in that community with resources. Also become licensed as a respite parent. It's a great thing to do. You're a licensed babysitter for other foster parents, and they desperately need that break, and it will help keep those placements from breaking down, which is when foster parents just decide, I can't do it anymore. That is another way to help. You can be a CASA, you can advocate for foster kids and work and volunteer as a CASA. Almost every county has them.
What is that?
Court-appointed special advocate. So you are an officer of the court. It's different depending on the state, but in our state, you're an officer of the court. You're an ad litem for the child, and you kind of supervise the case and see what's going on and make recommendations and write reports to the court based on what you feel is in best interest.
Oh, okay.
And I would say our county does a really good job of taking care of their kids and listening to their CASAs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of the eyes for the court, from a non-legal perspective. It's valuable. And they're volunteers, and they're able to spend more time with the child than maybe an attorney appointed to represent the child. And it's valuable information that I think allows the court to be more comfortable in the decisions that in the orders that it makes.
All right. Well, that's going to take us to the end of today's episode. It was heavy, but it was really, really insightful. And thank you both very much. Sarah, excited to hear your mindful moment for today.
Yeah. And I want to say the world of foster care is heavy, but there's a lot of beautiful things that happen. Yeah. And in our county, we have National Adoption Day that happens, and that's something that we support and we do work for in our office. And those are really cool. And so, there are beautiful things that come from the foster system, and there are miracles that happen. And so it's not all clouds. Sometimes a lot of it's sunshine and rainbows too. Mm-hmm. As far as our mindful moment, think of a way that you can reach out to an at-need youth, underserved or needy youth in your community, whether it's big brother, big sister, some kind of mentorship program, single mother ministry, whatever. Just think of a way that you can serve in your community and see if you can find space to either financially support or physically support something like that. Because the more solid adults youth have around them, the greater their chances are of success later in life, regardless of if they're in foster care or not.
100%.
Yeah, definitely. That's fantastic. All right. Well, for more insights and exclusive resources tailored to navigate life's challenges, be sure to check out the Nelson Law Group app. It's specifically designed to support you through the divorce process with expert advice and community resources. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel, and leave us a review if you get a second. We very much appreciate it. Sarah, Brett, always great chatting with you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments. For more exclusive content, including helpful guides like our Divorce Care Guide, download our app today and get the support you need right at your fingertips.